how it sound. I guess that's better. Alright, welcome back. Kiddos. Daddy's not happy. And he's got some stuff on his mind. So I haven't made one of these in a little while. Again, if you're seeing this on YouTube, hello YouTube. I'm just gonna be sharing some things that have been on my mind recently. Let me make sure, hold on. I turned my mic volume up just a tad, because I did notice that when I was uploading videos from my Doom playthrough, it's a little quiet. Again, I don't really have any real streaming equipment here, so my audio and visual quality is pretty dog shit, but it is what it is. I'm recording straight from my Xbox. So today, let's just hop right into it. I've been down on my luck for quite some time. If you've seen some of my previous videos on YouTube, I can almost switch this out or maybe go with new music. I don't know. I have not been having the best luck for quite some time. I mean, that's pretty quiet. But I've wrote down some topics to at least keep me from wandering off too far. But basically, I've been kind of stuck in a rut for a very long time, and it doesn't seem like I'll be getting out of the woods anytime soon. I've been chasing this dream for a while now, about 3.5 years, of wanting to be a VTuber and a freelance artist, but I haven't really gotten anywhere with it. I'm not going to be giving up. I've just got some things on my mind that I need to talk about. So I guess first things first is I want to talk about my living situation. It hasn't changed. Why does my phone keep turning off? It hasn't really changed. I'm like 26 years old, I'm broke. And I've been stuck in a very toxic / abusive household my whole life that I've been trying like hell to get away from. But I'm just having no luck with that. You know? It's done a lot of damage to my mental and physical health. And you know, I live with people that I don't particularly like to be around. And it's been like that my whole life. I've been stuck in this home that I can't move out of. I know, like, like over a year ago, I made a video about this, thinking that I would be out of the house by now, but no luck. Not really. Financially set to leave. That's really the big issue here. So now we're going to talk about finances, which is probably like one of the biggest factors of my life right now. I just don't have really an income to make a difference. I've worked, I don't know how many jobs, like 8 different jobs, like all labor. I've worked like pavement crew. I've worked in 2 warehouses. 2, yeah. I thought it was 3 for some reason. I've worked at a food distribution warehouse. Recently, I was at not Netflix, FedEx. I've worked general maintenance for like county parks, state parks, as well. I've been groundkeeping for apartment complex. I've been in lawn care. All of it just never really got me to where I wanted to go. And I just really suck at making money, I'm gonna be honest. And there's a lot to be said about finances, so I'm trying not to go too deep into it all, but I'm just kind of explaining um, what I've had to deal with. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist or anything. I'm more of a realist. So what I'll be what I'll be saying is more or less just the truth, and not me being like a conspiracy theorist. And I truly believe that we live in I live in America, and nobody can really afford shit. And ever since the pandemic and the severe increase in inflation, I've gone from being able to afford some things in my life to pretty much being at a like hitting a wall of not being able to do anything, despite having had many jobs before. Right now, I'm not having any luck getting a job. It's been, man, 2 years since I had a real, no, 1.5 actually, somewhere around there. I was at FedEx at my last job, but I've just never made enough to really do anything with my life. I'm stuck working Uber Eats, trying to make ends meet, and that's really not getting anywhere. It's I can make a whole video just on how shitty Uber Eats are doing Duber Dash, doing the old Doobie Dash. It's shit money, I'm gonna be honest. It's something that you do only if you have to. It doesn't really get you anywhere. You're spending most of your money on car maintenance and gas. And, the amount of money you make during one single trip is more or is less than what you're essentially spending doing that trip. So it's like, it doesn't really get you anywhere. It takes a long time and I guess luck. It's just a shitty thing that you only do if you really have to. So that's the only way I've been having any sort of money. I mean, other than that, I've been living off of like $10 or less most of my life. Except like maybe when I had a job, I had like a little bit more than that. But I've never really had any real spending money. Everything's been spent on necessities, and I'm often left with nothing. And unfortunately, I have dreams to chase, and that those dreams cost money. So, the financial balance of my life has always been in shambles. And at this point, with everything I've dealt with in my life, I'm very exhausted and tired. And I'm tired of just getting defeated at every attempt that I make. So this is kind of what today is about. Just being tired and wanting to share it with people. I don't really expect anything out of this. I'm just simply sharing my experience. So there's not really much else to say about my financial life. I've never really had much luck. Man, I've lost my money so many times. I've had to start from scratch so many times that at this point, like, the economy is tipped into a direction to where things are pretty much impossible for me now to really get anywhere. Mathematically speaking, I'm pretty fucked, and that really sucks. Man, for example, like one of my dreams is to own a PC. I've wanted one since I was like 12, and I've never had the money for it. And At this point, it's a necessity, and it's required to even go where I want to go. So it's a very hard barrier. I'm faced with paywalls no matter where I go, and I've spent years watching videos online, studying ways to make money, and pretty much doing everything I can. I've even gotten a few books on the topic on what to do, and it all just comes back to having a sufficient source of income to really do anything in the first place. And unfortunately, here in America, you're not going to get anywhere working minimum wage. It's just not going to happen. And you know what? This generation has the right to be pissed off. And right now, I am pretty pissed off. I've pretty much lost my shit. I've gone to the dark side and really started my villain arc. I really don't give a fuck anymore. We deserve to be pissed because we were kind of brainwashed into a false promise. We were lied to, thinking that everybody could be able to chase their dreams if they worked hard enough and long enough. The basic American dream is dead. You know, work a 9 to 5, save up enough money to do what you want in the future. Put 10% in your paycheck, spend the rest on finances, then pocket the rest. That's not going to get you anywhere anymore. You know, I'm not really offering any solution. I'm just simply ranting. I'm not an economist or anything like that, but I don't really have. I've never really seen a clear solution anyway to the problem. You know, we live in a society that values efficiency, and making money above anything else. We don't. It doesn't value culture. It doesn't value the individual. It doesn't respect your time or your health. You know, the system's only created for, you know, the rich, and the poor are just getting poorer. And again, that's not a conspiracy theory. It's mathematics. If you do the research. And I didn't really have any topics, or I don't really have any like articles or anything pulled up right now to really go into detail about it, but it's just it's a tough reality to really live with. And I think as a as a whole, I think we should all come to an understanding, at least our generation, Gen Z, or at least Gen Z and millennials or whatnot, younger people. We should really understand and come together and face the truth and basically come to an agreement that the system isn't designed for success. And anybody who tells you that you're just not working hard enough, or I don't know, you're just not making enough money, you're just not trying hard enough, you're not climbing the ladder hard enough, they're just brainwashed and you shouldn't be listening to them. You know, the whole older generations are just so brainwashed and living in a different world than what it is today. The first step to overcoming the situation that we all face is just coming to accepting the truth instead of believing the lies that we were fed. So, you know, you're not really expected to own a home today. You're not expected to really get anywhere. People can barely afford apartments, even the cheapest. I know I can't. That's why I've never been able to move out. Um, Despite spending many years searching for a place, I've just never even had the money to even apply. So I've never even applied. I've considered social services. Um, you know what? I still should. I haven't given them the option, but I live in a very unhealthy environment, and I've had my disputes with my family to the point where the cops have been called multiple times, and I basically live in my room 24/7, and I'm very protective of my energy, and it's best that I just don't stir the rabbit's nest. It's safer to not defend myself than it is to defend myself, you know? I'm just laying low until I can move out. And like I said, my goals right now are being a VTuber and a freelance artist. I want to be able to make enough money doing freelance work or streaming to be able to just live on my own. And eventually I do believe I'll get there, but at times it really seems like a far-fetched dream to me, because I've spent so many years so far trying to make that dream a reality. I've sought Earlier in this year I tried to go to college to pursue education in art so that I can have just better education and increase my chances of becoming a successful freelance artist, but I guess a well, I wasn't able to do it. I couldn't afford it. I mean, I had enough financial aid to maybe cover my tuition, but I wouldn't be able to pay for anything else. What's the problem? Even the individual classes and the hardware and software that I would have to pay for was not within my budget. I wouldn't be able to survive in the dorm room. I originally planned on using college only to be able to move out of this house. Like I said, I've explored every damn option at this point. And college was one of my last ones. My literal last one is probably social services. But, I want to be able to get a job before I even attempt that route, because I'm pretty sure they're not going to accept me. And even if they did, I doubt it's going to be free. And I know how much I would need to live on my own. At least, I know, like, the general ballpark. I calculated an amount, like, a year ago or more. Exact amount on how much I would need to be making on a daily basis to be able to survive on my own, but I don't remember the exact number, but... Because it's kind of hard to calculate it without having a direct reference. Like, right now, I don't really live in a place where I do pay rent. I still live with my parents. They don't charge me rent, but I still have to pay for everything else except for food. So basically, I'm just not paying for food and rent. Still paying, my phone and car, whatever else I'm currently having to pay for. But right now, I just can't even really pay for that because Uber Eats just sucks that much. But what I'm saying is, like, I used to have like a direct mathematical rough estimate, but I mean I know what the general ballpark would be, like 3,000, and honestly that's really pushing it with how pricey things are. Either way, it comes down to just my income. I don't really have a way of getting enough money to move out, and it's been something I've tried to solve for most of my life, and it's just been exhausting, and I never really thought a solution. My 20s have been pretty shitty. I'm 26 years old, and I'm just I've never really lived my life, if I'm being honest. I've only had the option of grinding. I've been stuck facing situations that are beyond my control and just doing the best to gain some sort of stability and control in my life, but it's never been enough. And I've spent, like, it almost feels like I've wasted my time. Kind of. It's, like, I don't know what the right word to say. I don't feel like I've wasted my life. But I've never really lived my life. I've only been able to grind and work towards having a better life. I've never had any other option. So I just feel like I've wasted too much time trying to figure it all out, knowing that, I mean, I never really found a solution. So I feel like, all those, even my young 20s and now my mid 20s, I feel like I just spent too much time trying to work too hard and tried too hard to figure things out, and it's just never really gotten me anywhere. But I wasn't really faced with any other option. It was the only thing I can do. So that's pretty much it for my financial circumstance. The goals are a way of attempting to find a solution for that problem, and it'll be a very long time before I even make a cent off of art and whatnot. I don't even have like anything to do digital art with. I've only done it traditionally, and I'm self-taught, so that's pretty hard. I mean, at least we live in the modern age where the internet is available to pretty much anyone, and I can learn just about anything if I put enough time and effort into it. But this is something that takes years of practice and learning to really do. I mean, art is very, very difficult. You can spend the rest of your life just learning human anatomy, and it's something that's not very straightforward, which makes it even more difficult. Art isn't something that's like 1 + 1 = 2. And it's not something like you can just get a degree in and apply for a job and work as an artist right away. Everybody's got like their own journey in art, and it's kind of like up to you to really figure out where to go and how to get there. It's all kind of up in the air, and there's just a lot to it. It's a very difficult thing to do. Like, I like doing mostly character art, and after like 3.5 years, well, actually it's been about 3, because I started off doing environmental art, and then transitioning into character art, and now I'm like discovering what kind of art I would like to do. Mainly anime style characters and whatnot, and I mean, there's just a lot to it. It can be very overwhelming, but I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident about my drawing abilities, but I don't think I'll be able to make any money off of it, or at least I don't think my skill level is enough to make any money off of it. Like, if I was an established freelance artist today, I wouldn't say that my work is professional level. It's not gonna be until like another 3 years at this rate, I feel like, where I can confidently say, you know what, I'm at a professional level. I'm at like a good, solid intermediate though. But, there's a lot that can be said about it. It's just a dream of mine that I've been chasing. And it's very difficult because everything I do is always on my own, which leads into my next topic, which is my social life. Um, I've just been straight up alone my whole life. I'm not gonna lie. I have very, very few friends. I've got one IRL friend, and that's pretty much it. And I see him maybe once a year if I'm lucky, and we barely even talk. But I still consider him my friend. He's my childhood friend. But it's not something, I would trust with um, more serious topics, more deep topics. There really isn't anybody that I can trust that with, so I have friends, but I don't really have like truly deep connections with anybody. And it's always been very difficult for me to make friends and never really fit in. I've lived in the country my whole life, away from most people. So even when I was young, the friends that I did have, it was difficult to really meet up with them in person because, either their parents didn't want to drive over here or my parents didn't want to drive over there, vice versa. So I grew up kind of isolated, and when I was young, I never really found it easy to make friends, and I never really fit in. So I was always alone on the playground, just having nobody to play with, and just depressed and not sure what to do. So that sucked. And unfortunately, it is still the same nowadays. But I'm more confident in myself. I don't mind being alone at this point, but I would obviously like some real friends. And I do have like some friends online, but again, I'd say like I got one good friend online, but that's pretty much it. Social life has been very non-existent, and I live in a small town, so I don't really care about most of the people here. Um, they're all the same to me. They're all NPCs. I've noticed like people in small towns have like a cult-like mentality. Everybody believes the same thing. They're all part of like the same group, and they don't want to be shunned by everybody else, and they all believe the same thing, and they're not usually welcoming to outsiders, and kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a big toxic family. It's like a good way to describe like a small town where they're all kind of brainwashed, and they're very strict or rigid ways of thinking. They're usually not open to change or anything extravagant. They just want to live like NPCs, and that's not really for me. That's why I've never really found it easy to find people that I fit with, because I don't fit with them. I'm a black sheep in my environment. I always have been, so that's left me to fend for myself. My love life, I've covered this in a different video, but my love life has been not much better. I'd say it's been even worse than my social life. They kind of go hand in hand, but I've never really been in a relationship or anything like that. So, I'm 26 years old. I've been denied by everybody I've tried talking to. And the only people that really I've been scammed and catfished a few times in the past, but recently last year I found out that I was catfished for like 3 years. It was really bad. It was, it drained me of all my money and it broke my trust. And it left me very, very heartbroken. And it's something I've never really healed from, to be honest. In November of last year, early November, I found out. I thought somebody I met on Tinder. I went on Tinder like some years ago. It was a 3-year relationship. And I went into this knowing that I'm likely to get people that are going to try to take advantage of me. Like I said, I've covered this in a previous video, so I'm just kind of going over a brief summary. But I did cover it earlier in the year, but dating apps are just really bad. They're very predatory, both the companies who use them and the people that use them. And my experience has been no exception to that rule. The only people the majority of women that talk to me, I'm trying to think of like who actually was real. Like this might sound kind of fucked up, but every single one that has tried talking to me has been fake. Either they were a real woman and they just wanted to manipulate me and use me for only money. And I've had my Facebook account hacked like many years ago before the pandemic. I think it was like right before the pandemic actually. But I've been catfished before, and then I ended up talking to this person on Tinder who I thought was a real person. And so I gave them a chance. And 3+ years later, I found out that this person might not be who they say they are. And it turned out to be at least 2 people I was talking to. And it was a whole debacle, and it was really bad. And it pretty much ruined me and made me give up on trying to find love in general. So that's pretty much dead in the water now for me. And if fate were to come knocking on my door one day, then I'll let it be. I'm not exactly holding my breath and seeking love right now. It's not a part of my life right now, and I'm not concerned about it. It's best that I just leave it be. And if in the future things change, then I'll let them change, but I'm not going to try and seek it any further. And that pretty much put the nail in the coffin for me. And it ended up being like 2 different people I was talking to. It seemed like a male was working behind the scenes while a female was the one actually talking to me. And I talked to them on the phone and pretty much did everything you would do in a relationship. So that sucks, and I'm still in a lot of pain because of that. But I've moved on, but I still weigh my scars pretty heavily. And that leads into like my mental and physical health. You take my living environment, my social life, and my financial life, and that all equates to a very damaged individual. Both mentally and physically. I usually I've been out of shape for a while now just because of depression and anxiety and just being overwhelmed by life for so many years and having no social support or emotional support or anything to really have anything to lean on or anything like that, you know what I mean? I've been alone in my suffering my whole life. And it's done more damage than I will ever understand, both consciously and subconsciously. I'm very, very hurt and heartbroken and exhausted and just kind of a shell of a human being right now. And after everything I've been dealing with, I've been actively making the decision recently to just go numb in order to survive and keep going forward. So that's been an interesting experience, I'd say. It's been kind of positive, actually. I don't know, I've adopted this mentality recently where I've just kind of accepted my fate. I'm not saying I'm giving up on my dreams or anything like that, but I realize, there's a good chance that it might not happen, but I've really got nothing else to do with my life, so I do the best I can to march towards my dreams, slowly but surely. So I do believe that one day it will happen, but by the time it happens, I feel like I'm going to be too old to really enjoy the fruits of my labor. You know what I mean? Because my youth was pretty much robbed from me. It was robbed from a society that promised me false dreams and socially isolated me simply because of my existence as a human being. But, despite it all, I'm still moving forward the best I can. And at times like this, I just gotta rant because I just feel overwhelmed and exhausted and tired of spinning my wheels. So, my mental, my physical health they've been pretty bad in the past. I wouldn't say this is the worst they've been, but it's definitely up there. I've dealt with pretty bad depression, I'm not gonna lie. Pretty high anxiety in the past to the point where I would have these like strange panic attacks. They weren't like full on panic attacks, but pretty close. I would have heart palpitations. I would have this. I remember like this was right around when the pandemic was happening. This was like right before the pandemic too. Like just a few months where I was battling severe anxiety because of being overwhelmed at work and overwhelmed with life at home. Having a stressful, shitty job that pays me dog shit money, working with people that I hate, working a job that I hate that just drives me insane, and then coming home to an environment that just amplifies it all. And I can't rest or relax and recharge for the next day. Instead, I'm just faced with arguments and just bullshit when I come home to a family that's just fucking falling apart. And it's not something I chose to be born into, so it's not my boat to sink with. And once I leave, I'm not looking back. And I've been looking forward to the day that I'm finally able to move out for a very, very long time. Like, I plan on moving across the country as far away as I can from this place to Washington State. But, I've dealt with some pretty serious mental, I don't have a history of mental health issues. Like, I wasn't really born with any, but I've dealt with some pretty bad stuff. Like suicide. I definitely, I came to a point in my life where I was like 19, 20 years old, and I just didn't want to live anymore because life was just so overwhelming and I couldn't handle it anymore. So, it's not a topic I talk about lightly. I know how serious that it can be, but I'm not afraid to really talk about it because I've been there and I know what it's like. But I know, there's a lot of people that face this reality, especially like young men. But I was just faced with a situation that seemed hopeless. It still kind of does. But I was just living such a miserable life. I mean, I still am, and I just didn't want to live anymore. I didn't really have any plans on ending it all. I didn't really. I mean, I tried to think of specific ways, but I really couldn't come to it. Because, I don't know, there was just something else in me that just didn't want to let me go that way. But I was willing. But I was just sitting in my room, just. I had no will to live. And I really didn't get any help. My parents don't understand. And they try to force therapy. And they try to force counseling onto me. And they just don't understand. And they just think. But I remember what my mom said to me. She thinks it's just weakness. And you just have to have mind over matter and overcome the situation. She basically told me I was weak for thinking that way. And I'll never forget that. Just tells me that she doesn't understand. She's just living in a different world than I am. And my parents are definitely responsible for the state I was in. And last month, I was in such a depressed state that those thoughts came back. And, yeah, I don't know, it just made me want to cry. But I'm so numb to the point now that I can't even really cry. I can't even really rage anymore. I mean, I'm slowly getting angrier, I suppose. That's because I'm actively feeling that I've chosen the path of being a villain. Because fuck it, I just don't care anymore. I'm not happy about the way things are. I'm not gonna drag other people down with me, but I'm just accepting it all. So there's that. Last month I wasn't streaming because I was just dealing with some very serious mental stuff going on. That still, to this day, I don't have any support for. So, the best thing I can do is just rant on the internet like this. And figure out how to deal with it on my own. Because nobody really understands. Therapists I've had have never really helped. They've offered me the most basic advice that I've never really clicked with, I guess. That kind of like leads into my next topic, is that the whole culture of self-improvement, hustle culture, and all these self-help videos you see online, all these like advice videos, life advice, and all that shit it's just a bunch of noise, dude. Does it really help? It really doesn't, from my experience. I've spent my whole life trying to figure it out. In my young 20s, I was very obsessed with philosophy and God, and tried to seek a way out through philosophy, and tried to find something out there that would work, and nothing really helped. I even read David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. his book that he published. I listened to the audiobook like 7 different times. I basically memorized it like the back of my head, and I tried to apply those lessons to my life. And I mean, it worked a little bit, but for the most part, it's just something I didn't really realize until many years later that it wasn't something that would work for me. So I'm still on that journey to find that something that works for me. And that's where it led me to my freaking villain arc here, where I just stopped really giving a shit, and you know what? Shit's fucked up, and we deserve to be angry, and you know what? Fuck everybody. I hate this world. I don't give a fuck anymore. People suck. The society sucks. Woke culture sucks. Modern gaming sucks. It all can go suck a fat bag of dicks and burn in hell. I would rather watch the world burn at this point. Oh crap. I'm not gonna start the fire, but I'll definitely take a seat with a big bag of popcorn and have a smile on my face as I watch it all burn. So, I don't know. At least that's... You know, that mindset feels closer to who I am as a person. Even though it might be something that a lot of people don't agree with, you can't really run from the truth. And I guess I'm living more truthfully to who I am. And I'm a lot darker than I thought I was. Maybe because of what I've been through, but that's okay. Who gives a shit? I am who I am. I can't really do anything about that. Just another victim of my circumstances. And unfortunately, there's really nothing you can really do about that. People are malleable, and they're shaped by their environments and their experiences. And it's made me into who I am today. Somebody who just hates the world. And doesn't fit in. And doesn't have any friends. Fights alone every day. Rah! Let's go, team. Let's go. God bless America. Anyways. That's why I kind of like, I spent a lot of time like on the internet and reading books and just going from video to video and trying to find some sort of self-improvement advice that'll help work for me. And I'd say like 90% of the stuff I've watched and done and tried to apply to my life has not worked. Maybe about 10% of it stuck. And at this point, I realize that most of the information on the internet about this kind of topic is just bad. It sucks. It's so basic and it just doesn't work. I don't know why there is such a prevalence or such a, I don't know, like a high volume of this just trash spewing nonsense that you see when it comes to getting your shit together. 90% of that shit is just so dumb, and it's just like no shit advice, you know, stuff that you would already know by just figuring it out on your own. Like, thanks, I guess. You're not really helping. And, you know, it's difficult to really give advice because everybody has their own specific thing that they're going through. And so it's, giving general advice is just usually not going to work. Maybe 10% of the information is going to stick. So I understand like how hard it could probably be as a therapist to try to really help people nowadays, because things are more complicated than they've ever been. We are dealing with technology that outpaces anybody who tries to keep up with it. Dealing with an economy that is ruining everybody's lives. And has seemingly no hope to it. Things are looking bleak. So it's kind of just whatever to me at this point. I've gone kind of numb to it all, and at this point I've kind of accepted that there's really no point in trying not to go numb. And as a matter of fact, I probably should just go numb so that at least I can have a little bit more energy to do the things that I need to do. And I guess that's pretty much it for the day. Pretty much it for this video here. If you stuck by, then I really appreciate it. I don't really have any advice to get off of from. I'm just sharing a little bit about what I'm currently going through. I'm going through a lot of pain. I'm going through a lot of suffering. And kind of seems hopeless, I'm not gonna lie. But whatever, fuck it. we move forward anyway. I might have to come up with like a villain persona or something. I don't know. Something that like doesn't take itself seriously. The most serious, unserious person. Who knows? Either way, I think that's it for my little rant here. I appreciate anybody who stuck by to watch this. Maybe you had a good snack. And maybe I'll come out in the future to talk more in depth about certain topics. As of right now, I don't really have anything in mind. I'm very poor, so I can't really like edit videos and actually make content that I would want to make. So, you know, I record directly from my Xbox with a freaking headset that's years old and literally falling apart. I've had a chunk fall off like the other day, and I was like, huh, I forgot that this headset is from like 2018 or something. So, I mean, I got a laptop to monitor chat with when I stream, and that's about it. So, I make do with my sticks and rocks. Because that's all I got. So, you know, that puts a limit on what kind of content I would actually be able to do. But I'm in the middle of uploading my Doom playthrough. I don't really expect anybody to watch it. I upload first playthroughs of games that I enjoy. Just because, why not? I don't really expect anybody to watch them, but nobody really does. And it doesn't really bother me. I think what's important is just sharing the experience online anyway. It's something I've always wanted to be able to do when I was a kid anyway. I've always wanted to be able to share experiences with others. So, I think that's it for me tonight. Thank you for watching. And see you next time. Bye.